The world of League of Legends belongs to place in space called Runeterra Prime. This region includes 4 elements: Void, Celestial, Spirit and Runeterra. The name Runeterra means magic land, its place almost same like planet Earth. Her intangible realm, called the Spirit Realm, is a place where time and space operate differently from the material part of Runeterra. This spiritual world is divided into smaller parts and we know about it from stories and myths, which however, give us very little knowledge. Runeterra, at least from what we know, has 2 named continents, Valoran and Shurima, which are surrounded by 18 named seas and 2 oceans. These water kingdoms contain several islands and archipelagos, such as Ionia or the Shadow Islands. The planet orbits a star that would resemble a yellow dwarf in our world, and just as our Earth has a moon, Runeterra can also be peeved by this cosmic companion. These space objects are also found in the Spirit Realm. Runeterra is teeming with life in its physical form. Beings of unimaginable shapes and minds have built this land into a place where the best heroes are born. One such place is Bilgewater. Found in the Blue Flame Isles, Bilgewater is a port city like no other. It is home to snake hunters, harbor gangs, and smugglers from all over the known world. Bilgewater is an unpredictable place. You can either start a new life here as a fugitive from justice, or lose everything with the snap of a finger. Despite the distance that separates this port from the reach of government and trade regulations, Bilgewater is a place where the most unwary wandering merchants can come face to face with the clutches that will rob them of both their profits and their lives. If you have the money, you can buy almost anything here, from forbidden magic techniques to the favor of the local underworld lords. Following the recent dethronement of Bilgewater's last pirate king, the city has become even more uncertain, and most of the most prominent captains are struggling to agree on what the city's future should look like. However, as long as there are ships capable of sailing and crews to sail them, Bilgewater will continue to be one of the most diverse ports. Southwest of this dangerous harbor lies an archipelago rumored to be cursed. This land was once home to a noble, enlightened civilization and was known to allies and emissaries as the Blessed Isles. That was until a magical catastrophe struck the islands, literally tearing the boundaries between the spiritual and physical worlds apart. As a result of this disaster, these 2 worlds, which were supposed to be forever separate, merged into one. All beings living there were thus doomed to destruction. Since then, the islands have been shrouded in a dark mist of hatred, as dark as the magic that plagues the land. Should any mortal dare to step onto the shores of the Shadow Isles, the magic present everywhere would deprive him of all life force. And what's more, it would attract the eternally hungry souls of the dead. Anyone who perishes in the mists of the islands is condemned to an endless pilgrimage and suffering in this land, whose power grows every day. And this gives the stronger ghosts the opportunity to travel to other places of Runeterra. One of the lands that these dark beings could be plaguing is Ixtal. Ixtal is a land renowned for its mastery of elemental magic. It was one of the first independent nations to voluntarily unite into the Shoreman Empire. The Ixtal culture has deep roots. It gave rise to many, magnificent and advanced civilizations. It is also very likely that it played a significant role in the birth of the first Uplifted. The Ixtal mages survived the fall of the Void and later the Darkened. This was because they withdrew from their neighbors and used the Auckland wilderness as a shield. They lost many of their lives irretrievably, but what remained, they were determined to save at all costs. Now, after 1,000 years of isolation in the depths of the jungle, the city of Ashakan remains virtually untouched by foreign influences and dazzles with its unusual natural architecture. The inhabitants of this city, from a safe distance, witnessed the destruction of the Blessed Isles, as well as the runic wars that followed. Other peoples of Runeterra are considered arrogant and false by this civilization. The Ixtalians, as mentioned, joined the Shoreman Empire a long time ago. It used to be a thriving civilization that spanned the entire continent, in times long forgotten. Shurima was created by divine warriors who called themselves the Ascended. These warriors united the peoples of southern Runeterra and maintained peace between them. Few dare to rebel against the rule of this empire. The Akasians who tried to do so were an example of how quickly the creators of the empire can punish all such attempts without whiteness. However, nothing lasts forever, and after thousands of years of prosperity, the Shoreman Empire collapsed when its last emperor failed to complete the process of ascension. The capital city was reduced to ruins, only a reminder of the empire's colorful and rich history and the rumors of its greatness. Those who remain are barely making a living. The land has become an inhospitable desert. These survivors have built settlements that protect rare oases or, conversely, have retreated to cursed catacombs in which they long to find the riches that have been talked about for years. And also in the remnants of the collapsed empire, a handful of inhabitants make a living as mercenaries. Despite the inhospitable past and present, a handful of people still live, dreaming of the return of the old days. And perhaps not in vain, Zigmund news has been spreading from the heart of the desert that Emperor Azir has returned and will lead them into a new age of wonders. West of the ruins of the once magnificent empire lies Mount Targon. This rocky massif is the highest peak in all of Runeterra. Mount Targon stands tall, surrounded by a mountain range of smaller peaks, none of which can match its imposing size. As beautiful and regal as the mountain is, it is almost insurmountable even for the most determined of individuals. Legends abound about this remote mountain civilization, and it is often the target of dreamers, madmen, and adventure seekers alike. Who knows what drove those who finally decided to scale the mountain to do so? Perhaps it was enlightenment or ancient wisdom, or perhaps it was the desire to see the entire Runeterra at sunrise. We will never know, because even the handful of individuals who survived this unthinkable adventure and scaled the mountain never spoke of their experiences. Some returned strengthened by supernatural power, while others were lost in their own madness. From the top of Mount Targon, you can perhaps see the borders of the magnificent Demacia in the distance. This strong, law-abiding kingdom has a glorious military history. The people of Demacia have always honored the ideals of justice, honor, and duty above all else. People were proud of the cultural heritage left to them by their ancient ancestors. The capital of the kingdom was founded after the end of the Rune Wars. It was intended to serve as a refuge from magic. Part of the city is also petricite, a white stone that is able to absorb magical energy that could abound in the city. For many years, the capital was the refuge of the royal family and a place from where they could supervise and defend the surrounding cities, forests, and rich natural resources. However, after the sudden death of King Jarvan III, the other noble families have not yet expressed their consent to his only heir, Prince Jarvan, taking the throne. Although it seems that the nation is flourishing and the surrounding countries could learn from its prosperity, the noble principles have not prevented Demacia from slowly closing in on itself and isolating itself from the outside world. Perhaps it is because of these times that unrest is raging throughout the kingdom. Suspicion of anyone living beyond its customs-torn borders is growing by the day, and many former allies have begun to seek protection elsewhere in these uncertain times. Rumors are spreading that Demacia's golden age is over, and unless the people are willing to adapt to a changing world, which many consider to be completely impossible, the kingdom faces inevitable decline. North of Demacia lies the homeland of the Freljordian tribes. Freljord is a harsh and inhospitable place. Its inhabitants are noble warriors who must fight for their bare survival every day. These warriors form tribes that resolutely defend their independence. The other Valorant peoples consider them uncivilized and savage. However, this is probably due to their ignorance of the ancient traditions that the Freljordians hold dear and that the local people have shaped over a very long time. This northern land was thrown into chaos many thousands of years ago when the alliance of the sisters Avarosi, Serelda, and Lysandra collapsed. This happened in a war that threatened all of Runeterra. Today, despite the efforts of the Ice Guard, myths and legends about the old gods and restless shamans called soul wanderers continue to survive among the people. Raiders from the cleft of the earth venture further and further each year, encroaching on the borderlands of Demacia to the south and Nox to the east. In addition to these warlike raiders, however, the Freljord is also home to a confederation of independent tribes and clans seeking a more peaceful future. These tribes have sworn allegiance to the Queen of Avarosan, Ash. Perhaps thanks to her, Noxus will see a time when it will not be plagued by raids from its neighbors to the north. Noxus is a powerful empire with a reputation so great that it inspires justified respect in most nations. People living outside Noxus perceive it as a bloodthirsty empire that threatens others with its expansionism. However, under the guise of this outwardly barbaric state lies an unusual society that respects all its inhabitants, their talents and abilities. In Noxus, anyone can achieve any good social status. It does not matter the family circumstances or fortune. If an individual is able to control magic, he can enjoy immense respect and attention from those who seek their services. Those who do so try to develop these gifted Noxians to perfection so that they can use their talents for the benefit of the empire. Despite this open social status, the old noble families still have considerable power today. And some fear that the true enemies may not lurk beyond the gates, but may long ago be the people of Nox, like their esteemed noblemen. If the Noxians were to travel south from their empire, they would find the city of Piltover. This city is a place full of life, and its influence and power are currently growing rapidly, perhaps due to the fact that it has become the cultural center of Valoran due to its diverse crafts, great trade, and innovative thinking. Piltover's potential does not come from military power, as is the case in Demacia or nearby Noxus. Piltover rises above the cliffs that hide the city of Zon and its bowels. From these cliffs, the city's residents can watch the fleets from all over the world enter Piltover through gigantic gates to unload their cargo. It was the highly developed trade that allowed the city to rise to the heights it currently enjoys. People can fulfill their dreams here and easily become rich. Guilds here subsidize the development of all possible industries that point to their power. It is primarily the esoteric magic technological devices, art, and architecture that make the city so majestic. Because of its openness to magic technology, Piltover has become a magnet for young inventors, especially in this field. These young inventors may even venture to Zon, which crouched beneath the cliffs that support the magnificent Piltover. This vast underground city is rarely touched by sunlight. The imaginary cover of this world is made up of various fumes that come out of rusty and cracked pipes that stretch throughout the city. Zon is dominated by industrial architecture. In fact, the entire city is permeated with industry of unthinkable directions. Once upon a time, Zon and Piltover were one city with common laws, but they were too restrictive for the Zon style of trade and development. Therefore, the cities split and now each lives their own life without mutual disputes. Piltover's rule and its commercial sophistication helped Zon build its own black market for goods that reach this place. The entire world stands on the pillars of a single country, Ionia, which is often cited as the first country. It consists of a number of allied provinces scattered throughout the archipelago, which is surrounded by a treacherous sea. Ionia is another empire in Runeterra that has a connection to the intangible world. Unlike the Shadow Isles, however, this connection has not turned the entire country into an uncontrollable cloud of magic. The border between the tangible and intangible worlds can most easily be found in the mountains and forests. These borders have been there for centuries, and this is mainly due to the effort to maintain a general balance by all the inhabitants of this empire. Although magical creatures are also found here and magic is unstable, the Ionians lived in abundance for many centuries, with monks providing protection for the ordinary inhabitants. However, this carefree period ended 20 years ago, when Noxus took up arms against Ionia. The seemingly endless hordes of war have ravaged Ionia, taking years to defeat. And the battles have taken a heavy toll. The war has divided the land over where its people should go. Some desire to restore ancient customs and traditions of balance. Others, led by the Shadow Order, demand that the magic found in the land be harnessed for military purposes so that the Ionians can take revenge on Noxus. The Spirit Realm is a place that is significantly different from the world we know. Perhaps thanks to the magic that is stronger here than in the physical world, Vandal City gave rise to the race of Yordles. Mortals who were supposed to visit Vandal City claim that it is a special magical land that is absolutely beyond the borders of the world. These pilgrims talk about a place of unbridled magic, where it is easy to get lost, because it is easy to remain in amazement and not pay attention to the path they are taking. It is said that for creatures who are not of Yordle origin, Vandal City is a place of the sharpest senses. The colors are richer, the smells more tempting, the food and drink can intoxicate for years. Once a mortal has tasted it, he will never forget it. The sun's rays shine endlessly and so golden and clear that there is no greater joy. The water is radiant and pure and every crop is rich. Maybe the pilgrims were telling the truth, maybe it's just a legend, no two stories are the same. One thing is certain, time passes more slowly in the Vandal City, which is why some of them aged a day or even a few years after returning, which is why some never returned at all. In this unexplored part of the spirit world is also located Maris Omegnum, a lunar temple that we know very little about. Most of the time it is located somewhere deep in the spirit realm. However, during special events associated with lunar phenomena, it appears on the top of Mount Targon. Like this temple, an area called the Glade sleeps in the spirit realm. This place is supposed to be the source of the original raw magic that is mixed with the spiritual form of the world. It probably existed before the first Yordles came into the world, which remained hidden for a century. It is clear that these forces flow throughout the realm. However, there is one place that even the creatures of the magical realm themselves respect from afar, and it is the realm of death. This is the place where the souls of all the dead go and a place from which there is no escape. According to legend, a single iron ghost rebelled when he refused to fall into nothingness. And instead of sealing his fate, he built the realm of Might Narakam, which he now rules. Rising above the starry skies of Runeterra is Mount Targon Prime. This place is home to many beings who look down on the earth from above. Celestia is home to beings of all shapes and forms. From aspects to celestial dragons, to beings born from the stars. This realm is infinitely beautiful. By day, golden rays of sunlight, by night, bathed in stars that cover every inch of the sky. Beyond this celestial kingdom is another place. The Void. The Void was at the beginning of everything. It existed before the birth of the first being in this universe and is perhaps as old as itself. It is a force that waits. It waits for the command of its masters. Guardians, who according to legend are supposed to have the power to end everything with a simple command. To be a mortal struck by this power is to suffer a torch's flash of unreality, which is enough to break even the strongest mind. The inhabitants of this realm themselves are often constructive creatures, only with a tainted receptivity and a single task: to bring Runeterra and its inhabitants into complete oblivion. Thanks you all for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss another video.